Jake Morrison wiped the grease from his hands with an old rag. Another day, another broken car. His small garage in Detroit was hot and stuffy. The fan in the corner barely moved the thick summer air. He looked at the clock on the wall. 5:30 in the evening. Time to close up shop. Jake was 28 years old and tired. He had been fixing cars since he was 18. Every day was the same. People brought him their broken cars, he fixed them. They paid him just enough to keep the lights on and buy food, nothing more. He walked to the front of his garage and started pulling down the metal door. That was when he saw them. 3 figures stood across the street. They wore long, dark coats even though it was summer. Jake stopped and stared. Something was wrong with this picture. The figures crossed the street. As they got closer, Jake could see their faces. 2 of them looked human, but different. Their skin was too pale, their eyes too bright. The third one was definitely not human. Its skin was blue-gray, and it had 4 arms. Jake's heart started beating faster. He wanted to run, but his legs would not move. The 3 figures stopped in front of his garage. "Jake Morrison?" The blue-gray one spoke. Its voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. "Yeah, that's me," Jake said. His voice came out as a whisper. "We have been looking for you. My name is Elder Corex. These are my assistants. We need to talk." Jake looked around. The street was empty. No one else was around to help him if things went bad. "What do you want?" Elder Corex reached into his coat and pulled out a small device. It glowed with soft blue light. "We are here about your uncle, Pete Morrison." Jake frowned. "Uncle Pete? I barely knew the guy. He disappeared when I was a kid. My mom said he was crazy." "Your uncle was not crazy, Jake Morrison. He was one of the greatest explorers in galactic history. He died 3 weeks ago on the planet Kepler 442b. His death activated certain legal documents." "Galactic history?" Jake laughed, but it sounded hollow. "Look, I don't know what kind of joke this is, but I'm not buying it." Elder Corex touched his device. The air above it shimmered, and suddenly, Jake was looking at a 3-dimensional picture. It showed his Uncle Pete, but older than Jake remembered. Pete was standing next to creatures that looked like nothing Jake had ever seen. Behind them was a massive city with buildings that reached into the clouds. "This was taken on New Andromax 5 years ago," Elder Corex said. "Your uncle was attending the wedding of his business partner's daughter." Jake stared at the picture. It was definitely Uncle Pete. He had the same crooked nose and the same scar above his left eyebrow. But the creatures around him, the city in the background, it all looked too real to be fake. 50 years ago, your uncle left Earth," Elder Corex continued. "He was part of the first secret human expedition to make contact with alien civilizations. He was very successful. He married into alien nobility. He built a trading empire that spans 12 star systems." "That's impossible," Jake said, but his voice was weak. "Your uncle never had children. According to galactic law, his closest male relative inherits everything when he dies. That would be you, Jake Morrison." Elder Corex touched his device again. Numbers appeared in the air. Big numbers. More numbers than Jake had ever seen in his life. 1,200,000,000 credits in liquid assets, Elder Corex said, plus 3 mining operations, a trading station, and a private fleet of 37 ships. The total value is approximately 15 billion credits. Jake's legs gave out. He sat down hard on the concrete. "This isn't real. This can't be real." "It is very real. But there are conditions." Of course there were conditions. Jake looked up at Elder Corex. "What kind of conditions?" "Your uncle's wealth came through marriage alliances. To maintain these alliances, you must also marry. The contracts have already been drawn up. You will have 2 wives." "2 wives?" Jake's voice cracked. "I can't even get one girlfriend to stick around. The first is Zara Veltai, daughter of the Andromedian Council. She is a skilled diplomat. The second is Captain Lisa Grant of the Human Space Defense Force." "Human Space Defense Force? We have a Space Defense Force?" "Earth has been part of the galactic community for 40 years, Jake Morrison. Only a few humans know this truth. Your government decided it was better to introduce the idea slowly. Jake put his head in his hands. This was too much. Space aliens. Billions of credits. 2 wives he had never met. A secret galactic community. It felt like a dream, but the concrete under him was very real. I need proof, Jake said. Real proof. Elder Corex nodded to one of his assistants. The assistant walked to the broken-down Ford that Jake had been working on. It placed its hand on the engine. A soft blue light spread from its palm across the entire car. The engine started running, but it was not just running. It was running perfectly, quietly, smoothly. Jake stood up and walked to the car. He popped the hood. The engine looked the same, but it sounded completely different. Better than new. Better than anything he had ever heard. Your uncle was a mechanic too before he left Earth, Elder Corex said. He used to fix vehicles just like this one. The galaxy needs people who can fix things, Jake Morrison. People who can solve problems. Your uncle proved that humans are very good at this. Jake closed the hood and looked at the 3 beings standing in his garage. His life had just changed forever, and he knew it. The question was whether he was brave enough to accept the change. What happens if I say no? Jake asked. You return to your life here. The inheritance goes to the galactic community. Earth loses its most important ally in galactic politics. The marriage contracts become void and both civilizations suffer diplomatically. And if I say yes? You become one of the most powerful humans in the galaxy. You gain wealth beyond imagining. You help protect Earth's future. And you marry 2 remarkable women who are as nervous about this arrangement as you are. Jake looked around his small, dirty garage. Then he looked at the numbers still glowing in the air above Elder Corex's device. His Uncle Pete had taken a chance 50 years ago. Maybe it was time for Jake to take a chance too. How long do I have to decide? Jake asked. 30 days, Elder Corex said. But first, you should meet your intended wives. They are waiting on Station Europa near Jupiter. We can take you there tomorrow. Jake Morrison, small-town mechanic, looked up at the stars for the first time in years. Somewhere up there, 2 women were waiting to meet him. Somewhere up there, a new life was waiting for him. Okay, Jake said. Let's do this. The ship was bigger than Jake's entire neighborhood. He pressed his face against the small window and watched Earth get smaller and smaller until it looked like a blue marble. He had never been on an airplane before, and now he was traveling to Jupiter. Elder Corex sat across from him in the passenger cabin. Station Europa is hidden behind Jupiter's moon. Your people cannot see it from Earth, even with their best telescopes. How long have you been watching us? Jake asked. Since 1947. Your people called our first contact attempt a weather balloon crash in Roswell, New Mexico. Elder Corex made a sound that might have been laughter. We decided to be more careful after that. The trip took 6 hours. Jake spent most of it staring out the window or asking questions that made his head hurt. How many alien species were there? Thousands. How big was the galaxy? Bigger than Jake could imagine. How many humans knew the truth? Less than 1,000. When they arrived at Station Europa, Jake's mouth fell open. The station was enormous. It looked like a small city floating in space. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved around it like cars in a busy parking lot. Welcome to your new home, Elder Corex said. They docked at a bay near the center of the station. Jake followed Elder Corex through corridors that were wider than most streets. Everything was clean and bright. Humans and aliens walked together like it was the most normal thing in the world. Jake Morrison, I assume? A woman's voice made him turn around. She was tall and strong-looking, with short brown hair and sharp green eyes. She wore a military uniform that Jake did not recognize. Her posture said she was used to people following her orders. Captain Lisa Grant, she said, extending her hand. Her grip was firm. I'm one of your future wives, apparently. Jake shook her hand, not knowing what to say. Nice to meet you. This whole situation is as weird for me as it is for you, Lisa said. I've been in the Space Defense Force for 8 years. I've never been anyone's wife, and I've definitely never been assigned as someone's wife. You were assigned? Jake asked. My commanding officer called me in last week. Said Earth's security depends on this marriage happening. Said you're inheriting something that could change everything for humanity. Lisa looked him up and down. No offense, but you don't look like someone who could change everything. Before Jake could answer, another voice spoke from behind him. Appearances can be deceiving, Captain Grant. Jake turned and forgot how to breathe. The woman walking toward them was the most beautiful person he had ever seen. Her skin was pale with a slight silver shimmer. Her hair was white as snow and seemed to glow with its own light. Her eyes were silver and seemed to see right through him. I am Zara Veltai, she said. Her voice was musical like wind chimes. You must be Jake Morrison. She did not offer to shake hands. Instead, she placed her palm against his forehead for a moment. Jake felt a warm, tingling sensation. Interesting, she said, stepping back. Your thoughts are much clearer than most humans, and you have a kind heart despite your confusion. You can read my mind? Jake asked. All Andromedians have some telepathic ability. It helps us understand other species better. Zara smiled, and Jake's heart skipped a beat. Do not worry. I only read surface thoughts, and only when I touch you. Elder Corex cleared his throat. Perhaps we should show Jake to his quarters. Tomorrow we will begin the formal introduction process. Jake's quarters turned out to be bigger than his entire garage back on Earth. The main room had a sitting area, a dining table, and a workspace with tools and equipment he had never seen before. Through the large window, he could see Jupiter's great red spot slowly rotating. This is temporary housing, Elder Corex explained. If you accept the inheritance, you will move to New Haven Station. It is much larger than this. After Elder Corex left, Jake sat on the couch and tried to process everything. 2 days ago, his biggest worry was whether he could afford to fix his truck. Now he was on a space station near Jupiter, engaged to 2 women he had just met. A soft chime came from the door. Jake opened it to find Captain Lisa Grant standing in the hallway. Mind if I come in? She asked. I thought we should talk without the alien diplomat listening. Jake stepped aside. Lisa walked to the window and looked out at Jupiter. Beautiful, isn't it? She said. I've been stationed here for 2 years, but I never get tired of the view. You live here? Part of my job. Earth has about 50 people stationed throughout the solar system. We're the advanced scouts, you could say, making sure humanity is ready when full contact happens. When will that be? Lisa turned away from the window. That depends partly on you, Jake. Your uncle's inheritance isn't just money and ships. It's political influence. The marriage contracts aren't just about combining families, they're about creating alliances. I don't understand politics, Jake said. Neither did I, until they explained it to me. There are thousands of species in the galaxy, Jake. Some of them think humans are too young and too dangerous to join the galactic community. Others think we have potential. Your uncle spent 50 years proving that humans can be trusted. Lisa sat down across from Jake. If you accept the inheritance, you become Earth's unofficial ambassador. Your marriage to Zara gives humanity a voice in the Andromedian Council. Your marriage to me strengthens the human military presence in space. And if I don't accept? Earth goes back to being isolated. We lose our protection. We lose our allies. And some species out there aren't very friendly to planets that stand alone. The door chimed again. This time it was Zara. She entered with a graceful movement that made Jake think of dancers. I hope I am not interrupting, she said. But I thought Jake might have questions about the Andromedian perspective. Lisa laughed. Perfect timing. I was just explaining the human perspective. Zara sat down in the remaining chair. The galaxy is not a peaceful place, Jake Morrison. There are species that expand by conquering other worlds. There are others that see younger species as threats to be eliminated. The Andromedian Council has survived for 10,000 years by building careful alliances. Why humans? Jake asked. What makes us so special? Zara and Lisa exchanged a look. Humans are adaptable, Zara said. Most species develop in one direction. They become very good at one thing. Humans become good at many things. You solve problems. in ways that surprise everyone, including yourselves. Plus, Lisa added, humans are one of the few species that can form genuine emotional bonds with both organic and synthetic life forms. That makes you excellent mediators. Your uncle proved this many times, Zara said. He prevented 3 wars. Through negotiation. He solved engineering problems that had stumped entire civilizations. He was respected throughout the galaxy. Jake looked at both women. They were so different from each other, but they both seemed to genuinely believe in what they were saying. What are you both getting out of this? Jake asked. I mean, you're both successful. You don't need to marry some guy you've never met. Lisa was quiet for a moment. My family has been in the military for 4 generations. This assignment could help protect Earth for the next 4 generations. That matters to me. And I have spent my adult life trying to prevent wars, Zara said. This marriage could create a peace that lasts for centuries. That also matters to me. But what about love? Jake asked. What about choosing who you want to be with? Zara and Lisa looked at each other again. Many successful marriages in my culture begin as political arrangements, Zara said. Love can grow between people who respect each other and work toward common goals. And honestly, Lisa said, I've never been good at the dating thing anyway. I'm career-focused. This arrangement might work better for me than trying to find someone the traditional way. Jake stood up and walked to the window. Jupiter filled most of the view, massive and beautiful and completely alien, just like everything else in his new life. I need time to think, he said. Of course, Zara said, standing. We have 28 more days to get to know each other. And Jake, Lisa said as they moved toward the door. For what it's worth, I think you're handling this better than most people would. After they left, Jake sat alone with his thoughts. In 28 days, he would have to make the biggest decision of his life. The question was whether he was brave enough to leave his old life behind and step into a future he never could have imagined. Jake woke up to the sound of his door chiming. He had been on Station Europa for a week and he still was not used to sleeping in zero gravity. His body felt like it was floating even when he was lying down. Come in, he called. Elder Corex entered with a human Jake had not met before. The human was tall and thin, with graying hair and kind eyes. Jake Morrison, this is Chief Engineer Ben Carter, Elder Corex said. He will be showing you around New Haven Station today. Ben smiled and shook Jake's hand. Nice to finally meet. I knew your Uncle Pete. Good man, great mechanic. You knew Uncle Pete? Worked with him for 15 years. He hired me straight out of MIT to help run the engineering department on New Haven. That was back when the station was half the size it is now. Elder Corex left them alone. Ben led Jake to a transport ship that would take them to New Haven Station. Fair warning, Ben said as they settled into their seats. New Haven is going to blow your mind. It's not just a space station. It's a small city. About 12,000 people live and work there. Half human, half alien. The trip took 2 hours. When New Haven Station came into view, Jake understood what Ben meant. The station was enormous. It had multiple levels that stretched out like the arms of a giant wheel. Ships of all sizes moved around it constantly. Your uncle built this over 30 years, Ben explained. It started as a trading post. Now it's one of the most important commercial hubs in this part of the galaxy. They docked at the main bay. Jake followed Ben through corridors that were wider than highways. The walls were covered with screens showing information in dozens of languages, including some that were not human. The station operates 24 hours a day, Ben said. We handle about 500 ship arrivals and departures every day. We process trade goods worth millions of credits. We provide fuel, supplies, and repairs for ships traveling between star systems. They took an elevator to the residential section. The corridors here were quieter and more comfortable. Jake could see through large windows into living areas where families were eating meals or children were playing. About 4,000 humans live on the station permanently, Ben said. Most of them are families of people who work here. We have schools, hospitals, entertainment areas, everything a small city needs. They stopped at an observation deck that looked out over the station's central hub. Jake could see the massive engines that kept the station in position, the solar collectors that provided power, and the docking bays where ships came and went. "This is all mine?" Jake asked. "If you accept the inheritance, yes. But it's not like owning a house, Jake. This station employs 12,000 people. Their jobs depend on the decisions you make. The trade agreements you sign affect the lives of millions of beings across 12 star systems." Jake felt a familiar weight settling on his shoulders. The same feeling he had gotten when his father died and left him responsible for his mother's medical bills. But this was 1,000 times bigger. "I don't know anything about running a business this big," Jake said. "Neither did your uncle when he started. But he learned, and he had good advisors. You'll have the same advisors, plus some new ones." Ben smiled. "And you'll have 2 wives who are experts in politics and military strategy. That's more help than most business owners get." They spent the morning touring the commercial sections. Jake saw warehouses full of goods he could not identify, laboratories where scientists from different species worked together, and manufacturing facilities that produced everything from computer chips to spacecraft engines. In the afternoon, they visited the engineering sections. This was where Jake felt most comfortable. The tools were different and the technology was more advanced than anything on Earth, but the basic principles were the same. Things broke. People fixed them. "Your uncle spent a lot of time down here," Ben said. "Even after he became one of the richest humans in the galaxy, he still liked to get his hands dirty. The engineering crews respected him for that." Jake picked up a device that looked like a cross between a wrench and a computer tablet. When he touched it, information appeared on a small screen. "That's a universal diagnostic tool," Ben explained. "It can analyze any mechanical or electronic system and tell you what's wrong with it. Your uncle invented it." "Uncle Pete invented this?" Pete Morrison held patents on 17 different pieces of technology that are now standard throughout the galaxy. He wasn't just a good businessman, Jake. He was a brilliant inventor. They were interrupted by an alarm. Red lights began flashing in the corridor, and a voice spoke in several languages. "What's happening?" Jake asked. Ben was already moving toward a control panel. "Sounds like we have a ship in distress. Happens about once a week out here." Jake followed Ben to the command center. The room was full of screens and control stations. Humans and aliens worked together, coordinating the rescue operation. "Freighter lost power about 2 million kilometers away," one of the technicians reported. "They have life support, but their engines are dead. Dispatch Rescue Team 3, the duty officer ordered. Jake watched the operation unfold. Within minutes, a rescue ship was launched from New Haven Station. The crew would reach the disabled freighter, assess the problem, and either repair it on the spot or tow it back to the station. "How often does this happen?" Jake asked Ben. "Space is dangerous. Ships break down. Pirates attack trade convoys. Sometimes there are accidents with experimental technology. New Haven Station is like a lighthouse in a storm. We help anyone who needs it, regardless of species or politics." The rescue took 4 hours. Jake watched the entire operation from the command center. When the disabled freighter was finally towed into one of the repair bays, the crew cheered. "Good work, everyone," the duty officer announced. "The Centauri crew will be buying drinks in the cantina tonight." As they walked back to their transport, Jake thought about what he had seen. New Haven Station was not just a business. It was a vital service that helped keep this part of the galaxy safe and connected. "Ben," Jake said, "what happens if I don't accept the inheritance?" Ben stopped walking. "Honestly, the station would probably be sold to the galactic community. It would still operate, but it wouldn't have the same independence. Some of the research projects would be shut down. Some of the humanitarian work would stop. And the people who work here? Most would keep their jobs, but the station wouldn't be the same. Your uncle didn't just build a business, Jake. He built a community. He built something that makes the galaxy a little bit better." That evening, Jake had dinner with Zara and Lisa in the station's executive dining room. The room had a view of the entire station, and Jake could see the lights of 12,000 people going about their lives. "Ben gave me the tour today," Jake said. "I had no idea the station was so big." "Your uncle was proud of what he built. Here," Zara said. "He often spoke about it during diplomatic meetings. Other species respect New Haven Station because it serves everyone equally. The station has also become an important military outpost. Lisa added. We have defense agreements with 6 different species. If this sector comes under attack, New Haven would be one of the first places they would look for help. Jake pushed his food around on his plate. Everything he had seen today was amazing, but it was also terrifying. How could he possibly be responsible for all of this? I can see that you are worried, Zara said. She did not touch his forehead, but Jake suspected she was reading his emotions anyway. I fix cars, Jake said. Yesterday, the most complicated thing I had to worry about was whether I could afford to replace my truck's transmission. Now you're telling me that thousands of people depend on decisions I haven't even learned how to make yet. Lisa leaned forward. Jake, your uncle was a small-town mechanic too when he started. The only difference is that he learned while he was building something new. You're learning while taking over something that already works. Besides, Zara added, you will not be making these decisions alone. You will have advisors, department heads, and 2 wives who are trained in the skills you need to learn. Jake looked at both women. Over the past week, he had spent time with each of them every day. Zara had taught him about galactic politics and alien cultures. Lisa had shown him the military and security aspects of running a space station. Both of them had been patient with his questions and supportive of his concerns. More importantly, he was starting to like them. Zara was brilliant and kind, with a sense of humor that surprised him. Lisa was tough and direct, but she cared deeply about protecting people. They were both remarkable women who deserved better than being assigned to marry a stranger. Can I ask you both something personal? Jake said. Of course, Zara replied. Are you okay with this? Really okay with it? Because if you're not, I'll say no to the whole thing. I won't let you sacrifice your lives just to help me or help Earth. Zara and Lisa looked at each other. They had been doing that a lot lately, Jake noticed, like they were having conversations he could not hear. Jake, Lisa said finally, I've been thinking about this for weeks. This assignment could be the most important thing I ever do. But more than that, I think I could be happy here. With you. With this life. And I have spent years arranging marriages for others, Zara said. I have never considered marriage for myself because my work always came first. But this arrangement... Jake had been living on New Haven Station for 3 weeks when the crisis began. He was in the engineering section, learning how to repair a quantum drive, when alarms started going off throughout the station. Ben Carter ran into the workshop, his face grim. Jake, we need to get to the command center now. They ran through the corridors as emergency lights flashed red. Jake could hear announcements in multiple languages, but he did not understand what was being said. The command center was chaos. Dozens of people worked at control stations while huge screens showed news feeds from Earth. Jake could see protests in major cities around the world. Signs reading Earth for Humans and Stop the Alien Invasion were everywhere. What's happening? Jake asked. Admiral Kate Brooks, Lisa's commanding officer, turned toward him. Her expression was serious. Someone leaked information about humanity's contact with alien species. The story broke about 6 hours ago on every major news network on Earth. Jake watched the screens in horror. Crowds of angry people surrounded government buildings. Military vehicles moved through the streets of major cities. Some of the protesters were carrying weapons. How bad is it? Jake asked. Bad, Admiral Brooks replied. A group calling itself the Human Liberation Front has taken credit for the leak. They're demanding that Earth withdraw from all alien alliances immediately. They're specifically calling you a traitor who sold out humanity for alien money. On one of the screens, Jake saw his own face. It was an old photo from his high school graduation, but someone had added text underneath. Jake Morrison, alien collaborator. How did they get my picture? Jake asked. Lisa appeared at his side. She looked angry and determined. Someone on Earth has been tracking you since you left. We think there's a spy in the Government Disclosure Committee. Elder Corex entered the command center with 2 other Andromedian officials. His usually calm expression was troubled. The situation is worse than we initially thought, Elder Corex announced. The Human Liberation Front is not just a protest group. They have attacked 3 human space installations in the past hour. They destroyed a research station on the moon and damaged 2 supply depots. Jake felt sick. People were killed. 17. Dead, 43 injured, Admiral Brooks confirmed. All human casualties, the attackers made sure of that. Zara entered the room with several alien diplomats. Jake had never seen her look worried before, but she looked worried now. I have been in contact with the Andromedian Council, she announced. Several species are demanding that humanity's membership in the galactic community be suspended immediately. They view the attacks as evidence that humans are too violent and unstable for galactic citizenship. That's not fair, Jake protested. Most humans don't even know about alien contact. These attacks are being carried out by a small group of extremists. Unfortunately, Elder Korek said, perception matters more than facts in galactic politics. If enough species believe that humans cannot be trusted, your people will be expelled from the galactic community. Admiral Brooks called up new information on the main screen. It gets worse. Intelligence reports suggest the Human Liberation Front is planning something bigger. They're calling it Operation Clean Slate. What's Operation Clean Slate? Lisa asked. We don't know yet. But our sources say it's designed to make alien contact impossible to hide from the general population. Jake stared at the screen showing the chaos on Earth. 3 weeks ago, he had been a simple mechanic. Now somehow the future of humanity's relationship with the galaxy depended on decisions he made. What can we do? Jake asked. We need to prove that the extremists don't represent humanity as a whole, Zara said. We need to show the galactic community that humans can be trusted to police their own people. And we need to do it fast, Admiral Brooks added. I'm getting reports that 3 more species are calling for humanity's expulsion. If that number reaches 10, the vote will be automatic. Jake looked around the command center. Everyone was looking at him, waiting for him to say something. The weight of responsibility felt heavier than ever. What would Uncle Pete have done? Jake asked. Ben Carter stepped forward. Pete would have found a way to turn the problem into a solution. He always said that every crisis was also an opportunity if you looked at it the right way. Jake thought about that. How could a crisis like this be an opportunity? Admiral Brooks, Jake said, what do we know about the Human Liberation Front's leadership? They're led by a former military officer named Captain Roy Mitchell. He was discharged from the Space Defense Force 2 years ago for refusing to work with alien personnel. He's been building this organization ever since. And he's specifically targeting me? You're the symbol of everything he opposes. A human who accepted alien wealth and married alien wives. In his mind, you represent humanity's surrender to alien influence. Jake nodded slowly. An idea was beginning to form in his mind. It was risky, but it might work. What if we gave Captain Mitchell what he wants? Jake said. Everyone stared at him. Explain, Admiral Brooks said carefully. He wants to expose alien contact to all of humanity, right? He wants to prove that people like me are traitors. What if we let him try? Jake, Lisa said, that could be incredibly dangerous. Not if we control how it happens. Not if we turn his attack into our opportunity. Jake walked to the main screen and pointed at the news feeds from Earth. Right now, people are scared because they're learning about alien contact in the worst possible way. They're seeing protests and violence and conspiracy theories. But what if they learned about it in a better way? Zara was beginning to understand. You want to make the first official announcement about alien contact. Not just an announcement. A demonstration. We invite Earth's leaders, journalists, and citizens to New Haven Station. We show them what humanity has accomplished in space. We prove that working with aliens has made us stronger, not weaker. Admiral Brooks frowned. That would mean revealing everything. The Space Defense Force, the trading agreements, the military alliances, there would be no going back. There's no going back anyway, Jake pointed out. Captain Mitchell has already started the process. We can either let him control the story or we can take control of it ourselves. Elder Korex looked thoughtful. It is a bold plan, but the Andromedian Council might support it. They prefer transparency to secrecy. And if we can prove that most humans support galactic membership, Zara added, it would counter the extremists' claims. Lisa was quiet for a moment, then nodded. It could work, but we'd need to move fast, and we'd need to make sure Captain Mitchell doesn't disrupt the process. Leave Captain Mitchell to me, Jake said. I think I know how to handle him. Over the next several hours, Jake worked with the command staff to develop his plan. They would invite representatives from every major government on Earth to visit New Haven Station. They would broadcast the visit live to the entire planet. They would show humanity what they had accomplished in space and what they could accomplish in the future. Most importantly, Jake would personally address Captain Mitchell's accusations. He would explain why he had accepted the inheritance and why he believed humanity's future lay among the stars. It's a huge risk, Lisa said as they finalized the details. If this goes wrong, it could destroy everything your uncle built. And, if we don't try, Jake replied, Captain Mitchell will destroy it anyway. Zara placed her hand on Jake's shoulder. For a moment he felt her confidence flowing into him. Your uncle would be proud, she said. You are thinking like a true galactic citizen. Jake looked at the screen showing the crisis unfolding on Earth. In 48 hours, he would either save humanity's place in the galaxy or lose everything. But for the first time since this whole adventure began, he felt ready for the challenge. The boy from Detroit who used to fix broken cars was about to try to fix something much bigger, and he had two remarkable women standing beside him to help him do it. All right, Jake said. Let's invite Earth to join the galaxy. The delegation from Earth arrived on New Haven Station exactly 48 hours after Jake had announced his plan. 27 people representing governments, news organizations, and scientific institutions made the journey to Jupiter. Jake watched their shuttle dock from the observation deck, his stomach tight with nerves. They looked terrified, Lisa observed, watching the delegates emerge from their shuttle. Can you blame them? Jake replied. A week ago, they thought they were alone in the universe. The tour began in the main commercial district. Jake led the group through the bustling marketplaces where humans and aliens traded goods from across the galaxy. He watched the delegates' faces change from fear to wonder as they saw the peaceful cooperation between species. Dr. Helen Cruz, a scientist from the United Nations, stopped in front of a laboratory where a human researcher was working with a being that looked like a walking tree. What are they doing? She asked. Developing new medical treatments, Jake explained. That's Dr. Kevin Nash from Johns Hopkins University. He's been working with the Verdani people for 3 years. Together, they've created cures for 12 different diseases that affect both humans and aliens. Senator Maria Lopez from the United States Senate was taking notes on everything she saw. How long has this cooperation been going on? Officially, about 40 years. Unofficially, some human scientists have been working with alien researchers for 60 years. The tour continued through the residential sections, the engineering departments, and the command center. Jake explained how the station operated, how it served as a hub for trade and diplomacy, and how it had become a symbol of peaceful cooperation in the galaxy. But the real test came when they reached the main conference room. Representatives from 12 different alien species were waiting to meet the Earth delegation. Jake had specifically requested species that looked similar to humans, hoping to make the first contact less shocking. The introductions went better than Jake had hoped. The alien representatives were patient and welcoming. They answered questions about their cultures, their technologies, and their relationships with humanity. Slowly, the Earth delegates began to relax. Then Admiral Brooks entered the room with urgent news. Jake, we have a problem, she announced. Captain Mitchell and his followers have hijacked a cargo ship. They're heading toward the Centauri colonies. Jake's blood went cold. The Centauri were one of the most peaceful species in the galaxy. An attack on their colonies would be seen as an act of war. How many ships does Mitchell have? Jake asked. Intelligence says at least 5 vessels, all armed with stolen military weapons. Senator Lopez looked confused. Who is Captain Mitchell? Jake quickly explained about the Human Liberation Front and their violent opposition to alien contact. Mitchell believes that I've betrayed humanity by accepting this inheritance. He's trying to prove that humans can't be trusted by other species. Elder Corex appeared on the main communication screen from the Andromedian Council chambers. Jake Morrison, he said, The situation has become critical. Captain Mitchell's ships were detected 3 hours ago approaching the Centauri system. If they attack civilian targets, the Galactic Council will have no choice but to expel humanity from the community and impose economic sanctions on Earth. Dr. Cruz leaned forward. What kind of sanctions? Complete isolation. Elder Corex replied grimly. No trade, no technology sharing, no communication. Earth would be quarantined until humanity demonstrates it can control its violent elements. Jake felt the weight of everyone's expectations pressing down on him. The Earth delegates were looking to him for answers. The alien representatives were waiting to see how he would handle the crisis. Most importantly, Zara and Lisa were standing beside him, ready to support whatever decision he made. Admiral Brooks, Jake said, do we have ships that can intercept Mitchell's forces? The defense fleet can reach the Centauri system in 6 hours, but Mitchell will arrive in 4 hours. Then we need to stop him another way. Jake turned to the communication console and opened a channel to Mitchell's ship. Captain Roy Mitchell, this is Jake Morrison. I know you can hear me. A rough voice answered immediately. Jake Morrison, the traitor himself. I was wondering when you'd contact me. Captain Mitchell, you're making a mistake. The Centauri colonies are home to millions of peaceful civilians. Attacking them won't prove anything except that you're willing to murder innocent people. Innocent? Mitchell laughed bitterly. They're aliens, Morrison. They're not innocent. They're invaders who have been secretly controlling our planet for decades. Jake looked at the Earth delegates. He could see the shock and disgust on their faces as they listened to Mitchell's words. Captain Mitchell, Jake said, there are representatives from Earth here with me. Government officials, scientists, journalists. They've seen what humanity has accomplished by working with other species. They know the truth about alien contact. The truth? The truth is that you sold out our entire species for alien money and alien wives. But I'm going to fix your mistake, Morrison. I'm going to show the galaxy what happens when you try to enslave humanity. The communication channel closed. Jake turned to Admiral Brooks. How much firepower does Mitchell have? Enough to destroy several Centauri settlements before our ships can stop him. Jake closed his eyes and thought. There had to be another way. Some solution that would stop Mitchell without proving his point about human violence. Jake, Zara said, quietly, may I make a suggestion? Please. Captain Mitchell is wrong about many things, but he is right about one thing. This situation will be resolved by what humans do, not what aliens do. The Galactic Council is watching to see how humanity handles this crisis. Jake opened his eyes. What are you saying? I am saying that perhaps the solution is not to stop Captain Mitchell with alien ships. Perhaps the solution is to stop him with human ships. Lisa suddenly understood. The Earth Defense Fleet. If human ships stop Mitchell, it proves that humanity can police itself. Exactly, Zara said. And if Jake leads those ships personally, it proves that humans can choose cooperation over conflict. Senator Lopez stood up. Wait a minute. You're talking about Jake leading a military operation? He's not a soldier. No, Jake said slowly, but I am the heir to the largest private fleet in this sector, and I am about to become one of the most powerful humans in the galaxy. Admiral Brooks was already working at a communication console. I can have 12 ships ready to depart in 1 hour. But Jake, this is dangerous. Mitchell's people are desperate, and desperate people do unpredictable things. Then we'd better make sure we're more prepared than they are. The next hour was a whirlwind of activity. Jake worked with Admiral Brooks and Lisa to plan the intercept mission. Zara coordinated with the Galactic Council to ensure that the human response would be seen as legitimate. The Earth delegates watched everything, documenting humanity's first major test as a galactic species. Jake's fleet launched from New Haven Station with him aboard the lead ship. As they accelerated toward the Centauri system, Jake opened a communication channel to every news network on Earth. People of Earth, he began. My name is Jake Morrison. A few weeks ago, I was a mechanic in Detroit. Today, I am commanding a fleet of human ships to prevent a terrorist attack on innocent civilians. He explained everything. The inheritance from his uncle. The secret history of human-alien contact. the benefits that humanity had gained from galactic membership, and the choice that Earth now faced. Captain Mitchell believes that cooperation with other species makes us weak, Jake said. I believe it makes us stronger. In the next few hours, you will see which one of us is right. The interception happened exactly as planned. Jake's fleet arrived at the Centauri system minutes before Mitchell's ships reached the colonies. The human defense vessels surrounded the terrorist ships, cutting off their escape routes. Captain Mitchell, Jake broadcast, you are surrounded by human ships commanded by human officers. Stand down immediately. Never, Mitchell replied. I'd rather die fighting aliens than live as their slave. These aren't alien ships, Captain. These are human ships. These are human crews, and they're here because humanity has chosen to be part of something larger than itself. The standoff lasted 20 minutes. Finally, faced with overwhelming odds and the knowledge that he would be fighting other humans, Captain Mitchell surrendered. Though terrorist ships were taken into custody by the human defense fleet, the Centauri colonies were safe, and across Earth, billions of people had watched humanity's first major action as a galactic species. Jake returned to New Haven Station as a hero. The Earth delegates unanimously voted to support humanity's continued membership in the galactic community. The Andromedian Council praised Jake's leadership and confirmed the marriage contracts with Zara and Lisa. 6 months later, Jake stood in the same observation deck where he had first seen New Haven Station. But now it felt like home. Zara was beside him, her hand resting on her growing belly where their first child was developing. Lisa was on the other side, reviewing reports from the newly expanded human defense fleet. Do you ever miss your old life? Lisa asked. Jake thought about his small garage in Detroit, the broken cars, the daily struggle to pay bills. It seemed like a lifetime ago. Sometimes, he admitted. It was simpler then, but it was also smaller.